recently moved to Alabama. I learned about Falun Dafa from my father, who started practicing a year before I was born. Why I still do it today? Falun Dafa is very good. It tells people how to be a good person. And I think that that is something that is very important because there is a lot of conflicting theories in the world about how to be a good person, and especially as a young person. There's a lot of confusing ideas about how to act and how to behave. I know that there is kind of a conflict about whether to follow kind of the more traditional Christian ideas about morality in the United States, or whether to kind of go along with the trends of nothing matters, which is really popular in high schools and colleges today. And so I felt this very strong battle between nothing matters, do whatever you want, and things do matter and meaning. And personally, I have found a lot of value in the idea that things matter and that my actions matter. It really helps give focus to my life. It helps me wake up every day, and it stops me from having guilt.
My name is Alexei Shulga, and I came from Ukraine. I started cultivating Dafa in 2002, and in that time I was quite a bit confused about what is it all about, and I didn't have assistance, and there were no other practitioners in my hometown. But once I moved from my hometown and leave my parents' house to study in university, I met other practitioners, and it was like a big city, and it was a group, and I started realizing, oh, what is this whole cultivation all about? So cultivating in Dafa is it's a great, very powerful practice for mind and body that helps in many aspects. It helps with, personally back then, I as a professional athlete, I was experiencing a lot of anxiety and different kind of thoughts and competitive mentality. Basically through studying and cultivating Falun Dafa, I just straightened my thoughts. I started being less competitive. I realized clearly, I think the biggest benefit of Falun Gong was, besides of course the health issues, because I didn't experience that many, but I felt like I got lighter body. And the mental part was, the mental improvement was in terms of how am I going to treat my sport and my career and my study. So in cultivating in Dafa helped me to open up and organize myself better, like to become more clear-headed, and in a way that I didn't really compete with people when I was especially when I was an athlete, a professional. I was more focused on myself and improving my own weaknesses, because all you know about Falun Gong right now is how you cultivate yourself, your inner self, and how you get rid of all those kind of obstacles, thoughts in your mind to to reach your goals. And yeah, it's actually, especially, it was interesting because I since it's a European culture and people now get familiar with Chinese, Eastern meditation stuff, people were like looking at me like a little weirdo. But in general, people felt the positive energy from Falun Gong, and people see that so many people are now practicing it, and everyone feel like it's a movement. But I would say it has more to do with person's personal life than as just participating in like on a big community event, sort of. So it's a very personal, very individual, and I think everyone who will study and read the main book, John Falun, will discover many interesting things in that book.
My name is Tom Nguyen. I started practicing Falun Dafa around at the end of 2016. I actually, when I came to the United States in 2016, in the first semester I joined the meditation club at Georgia Tech, and at that time I practiced all kinds of meditation, Buddhist meditation, heartfulness meditation, and there was this one person over there who was practicing Falun Dafa, And when it came to the discussions, I found that what he said contained quite deep meanings and were quite insightful. So I sat down and had a very long conversation with him. And he suggested that I read this book called Falun that would explain things, what karma is, what is enlightenment, and what is reincarnation. Many of the things that I've heard being thrown around, but I've never really actually got a clear explanation of them. And so at the first winter break in my university studies, I went and read Falun. And it was quite an enlightening experience. I didn't immediately resonate with the book, but after coming back from the winter break and sitting down with this other person again, this friend of mine again, after going through some discussions and a couple of meditations when we went together, I felt like this is something I'd like to do, and I started practicing at that time, and it has benefited me so much mentally and physically. Many of the stress that I encountered during my university studies, I was able to handle them successfully simply because I always had this corner of my place where I could just really descend into tranquility. And many of the relationships that I felt were tense previously, by actually trying to correct the mistakes within myself, I noticed that they gradually became harmonious again. So those are really just some of the initial benefits that I received from starting practicing Falun Dafa.
My name is Jifa Amoa, and I started cultivating Falun Dafa. I started practicing Falun Dafa sometime in 2007. I could say in October or early November. I'm not quite sure because the memory keeps changing, but I just know that it was the best thing that happened to me. I was watching Law and Order one night, and there was an episode that came on that talked about persecution in China. Somebody getting killed for doing exercise, Qigong exercise, based on truthfulness, compassion, tolerance. I thought, wow, what is that? Let me go and look on my computer. And when I went to Google it, I thought, well, there's so much stuff about it. Let me go to their own website and find out what it's about. When I went to the website, I started to read. I browsed and all of that. And the main book is called Falun. Once I started to read that, I realized, oh my God, this is what I've been wanting my whole life. He talked about different things. I've also been scared of dying, and it handled death, life and death. And I'm like, wow, this is great. And the exercises, I thought, wow, this is great. Let me order the book and start to read. So I ordered the book, and when I think I can't remember, I stayed up pretty late that night, and I think the next day I started to learn the exercises. They were gentle exercises, but they made me sweat, and I wanted to turn around and tell somebody, hey, it works. I'm feeling all hot inside, I hardly move. But anyway, the point is that I was so excited to have found this path. At that time, I was in college. I went back to school, and I wanted to share it with anybody that I met because this was answering all my dreams that I had put into exercises. Was right there, and it came with meditation. I could be at peace too, and not be afraid of dying. What a treat, huh? So anyway, after a few weeks, I think, I decided that okay, this is a path I'm going to choose, and I've been on it since. I can't tell you that it's the easiest path because you have to discipline yourself. You have to, the guiding principles are truthfulness, compassion, tolerance. And so you have to learn about truthfulness, compassion, tolerance, and assimilate to it. It means that you're going to change yourself in your ways of thinking, your words, and and the things that you do, and align them with these principles. It's not the most easiest because we form many habits over the years, and truthfulness, to align ourselves to those principles, it can be challenging. But one thing I can tell you is that I like myself better. It's challenging, but I like myself better. I know that I'm more sincere when I talk to people, and I'm a good person. I'm getting to be a better person, as well as staying fit. I know I don't look it like a regular health person who has a, suave, or is that suave they call it, or maybe slim figure, athletic figure, but I'm in good health. I haven't been sick in a very long time, and I do my exercises every morning. It gives me clarity, and I just feel wonderful. If anybody can just take a look at it, just look at it. You have all the information online. If you just try learning the exercise, you benefit. That's the amazing thing about DAFA. You benefit just trying to learn it. Give it a try, see what you think. But if you can walk this path, welcome to happiness and joy. It's not easy, but it's the most rewarding, and you like yourself better. That's all I can say. I love Falun Dafa because it has helped me become more aware, clear, and I like myself better. I know I keep saying that, but most people don't. Thank you for letting me tell people about DAFA.
Hello, my name is Michael Quarter, and I'm currently living in Alabama. I moved there from California a little over a year ago, and I started practicing Falun Dafa in the year 2000, so it was about 20 years ago. And at the time, it's a very long story about how I found out about it and started practicing, but basically after I had graduated college, I didn't have any spiritual beliefs, and I just suddenly found myself fascinated by different, especially Eastern spiritual practices and philosophies that I thought just had so much wisdom in them that I could apply to my life. So I was reading books about Buddhism, I was reading books about Taoism, and then when I found Falun Dafa, it connected everything for me. It all made perfect sense to me, so much more than anything I had ever seen or heard. It's an experience that's really hard to understand. But as I was reading it, it was like every page was just unfolding more and more of the truth of the universe that I never knew about, and it just felt like I had found the truth and the wisdom that I was looking for. And ever since then, I've been studying it. I've never stopped learning, and even now, every day, I learn something new that I didn't understand before. So it's a wisdom that guides my life. It's the most precious thing that I know of, that I hold on to. I learn more about it, I read about it, and I try to apply it in my life as best as I can. So it's just very precious to me for that reason. Anytime I have a problem, life is just a series of situations that come up, sometimes slower, sometimes faster, sometimes easier, or sometimes harder, but every time I find the answers to what I'm looking for by reading and thinking about and considering and understanding the teachings of Falun Gong. And that's what it means to me. So I've been through many things, many experiences, and it's always been there to guide me in that way. And it gives me a tremendous amount of hope for that reason. I always feel hopeful, I always feel optimistic. I know if I'm facing a problem, I just need to dig deeper, to look harder inside of myself to find the problem inside of me. And then once I do that, then I know how to handle the situation externally. And so that's really what my practice has been about over these last 20 years. It's just growing and trying to get better and better at it and understand more and more.